Hi everyone, I'm Shannon Schroeder, F-Bomb coach, and today we're going to talk about some motivation myths. You know what it's like to stare at your laptop, your brain is buzzing, but there is zero action. You tell yourself, if I could just get motivated, I'd be unstoppable. You scroll, you think, you plan, but you still don't start. You blame your willpower, your ADHD, and your overall personality. And then you wonder, what's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. You're chasing motivation myths that don't work for your brain. So let's break them down so that you can understand them and actually get things done. You're not weak. You don't need more willpower. Your brain is wired for interest and novelty, and your business doesn't always feel like that, especially when you're talking about the boring admin tasks. Things like invoicing might be crucial for your business, right? You got to send the invoices to get paid, but your brain sees it as a physical resistance, not because you don't care about the money, but because the task itself offers zero dopamine, zero novelty, zero challenge. So when you follow motivation myths that ignore that about your brain, you feel stuck, you blame yourself, and then you burn out. Myth one, you need to feel motivated before you take action. This hits ADHDers really hard. You wait for the perfect wave of focus. You chase that rare hyper-focus high. On low days, you assume the problem is you. But the reality is that motivation often comes after you start, not before. So you need to reframe this and think you can act first, you should act first, and then the motivation will show up. You sit to write a sales email, your brain says no. You commit to writing just one sentence, even if it's ugly. 5 minutes in, you notice you feel more engaged. The shift comes from motion, not waiting for that feeling like you're ready to start. Does this mean it's easy? No. Does it mean you'll always feel amazing once you start? Also no. But you give yourself a chance instead of getting stuck in the waiting mode. So some tools to help you with that first myth. We're talking about minimum entry here. Think of one thing you've been avoiding. What's the absolute smallest first step? Not the full task, just the entry point. If it's creating a lead magnet, maybe you just write the title. If it's reaching out to potential clients, maybe you pull up your contact list. That's it. That's the whole step. Your brain will say, that's too small to matter. That's the myth talking. Small is what gets you unstuck because your brain then sees it as a win. Myth number two, if you were serious, you'd be consistent every day. Real entrepreneurs are consistent every day, same time, same routine. This shames you because your energy, your focus, and your executive function all fluctuate. You have cycles, hormones, maybe kids, maybe chronic burnout. You see other people post daily and assume they're doing everything better. The reality is that consistency for you does not mean every day. You need to reframe that. You don't need perfect streaks. You need sustainable patterns that match how your brain and your life actually work. Who decided that daily is the only way? Weekly goals can be just as powerful. 3 meaningful tasks per week moves your business forward just fine. Your business also has seasons. You have launch season, rest season, creative season. You're not a robot. You're a human with nervous system that needs different things at different times. What if instead of I need to do the same thing every day, you aimed for repeated enough to move the needle instead of every day is perfect? Some tools for myth two. Instead of looking at how everybody else says you should, look for things that have variation, but works with your brain's natural rhythm. Weekly goals instead of daily. 3 meaningful tasks a week. Having a bare minimum plan for those low days, so you're still doing something, even if it's not everything you think you should be doing. Stop measuring yourself against people who might have different brains, different support systems. You're consistent, looks like you're consistent, and that's valid. Myth number 3, You just need more self-discipline or willpower. Okay, so we've talked about this a little bit already. Because you hear if you had more discipline, you wouldn't procrastinate. But we know that you already work harder than most people will ever see. You mask, you power through, you crash. This myth turns every struggle into a personal character flaw. The reality is that ADHD is not a discipline problem. It's a brain regulation problem. You need to be managing dopamine, distraction, your executive function, your energy, and your attention. The reframe here is you don't need to beat yourself into action. You need systems that lower the friction that will then make the action easier. This myth makes me so very frustrated because it puts all the blame on you. Like if you just tried harder, if you cared more, if you pushed yourself more, then you'd be fine. But that's not how ADHD brains work. You set 10 alarms, but still ignore them and then feel awful about yourself because you've been told just set an alarm. You're not ignoring those alarms because you lack discipline. You're ignoring them because they don't create the action for your brain. The answer isn't more shame. The answer is pairing the alarm with a body action. Stand up when the alarm goes off, move it to a different spot, put your phone in another room, create physical momentum, not just the auditory reminders. Discipline is not you yelling at yourself. It's designing your environment so the next step becomes easy so that you can actually do it. Practical tools for myth 3. You're allowed to make things easier for yourself. It's not cheating, it's strategic for your brain. If you've never tried body doubling, that's where you work alongside someone else, even virtually on Zoom or using an app that has other people online. So it's like co-working. You're not talking, you're just working at the same time on your own things. For ADHD brains, this creates a gentle kind of accountability because, oh, they're working. Your brain says, oh, it's work time. And it keeps you anchored to your task. These aren't crutches, they're tools. You wouldn't shame someone for using a calculator if they're bad at math, so don't shame yourself for using systems that help your brain work better. So use the outside systems, checklists, visual cues, templates. Give yourself bonuses. Pair the boring task with pleasure. Have a favorite playlist. Have your favorite tea or coffee. Do the body doubling. Give yourself a small reward when you complete it. Environmentally, put things where you need them. Remove the steps between you and the tasks and make the next action stupidly obvious. Myth 4. If it feels hard, it must not be aligned. If you're in flow, your work would feel effortless. If it feels hard, it must not be aligned, meaning it's not right for you. This feels like it might be true for you because if you've tasted that hyper-focused feeling when things are easy, when things are just, wow, you just get it all done. You compare every task that you have to those magical moments, so you think if something's difficult, you're on the wrong path. But the truth is that even aligned goals include boring steps. So aligned doesn't mean easy, it means it's worth the effort. So ask yourself 2 questions. Do I hate the task or do I hate the way I'm trying to do it? Is there a simpler, shorter way to get this done? Sometimes the answer is this task genuinely sucks and I should outsource it or automate it if I can. Other times the answer is I need to batch these in short sprints with a timer and a reward after because I really don't like them. But neither answer is I'm not aligned with my purpose. Some tools for myth 4. Ask yourself, is there a 10-minute version of this task? What is the minimum viable version? Who else could do this or what tool can handle it? Can you outsource it? You don't have to do everything yourself. You don't have to do everything perfectly. Your job is to move your business forward, not to prove you can suffer through every single tedious task. The goal is to preserve your energy and focus for the things that really need your unique brain. Everything else, make it as easy as humanly possible. Myth 5. You should work like everyone else. You should be able to follow the same routines and hacks as everyone else. What does this look like? If you listen to, all of the productivity gurus that'll tell you, I do more by 9 a.m. than you do all day, right? So you try the 5 a.m. routine and then you fail because your brain doesn't work at 5 a.m. And that puts you into a shame spiral because you're beating yourself up like, what's wrong with me? You copy someone else's content schedule because it's working for them and it makes you burn out. You buy a new planner that you think is going to be the answer to everything. You fill it out once and never touch it again. You probably have a whole drawer of those. The reality is your brain isn't broken, it's different. Your job is not to copy, it's to customize. So stop forcing tools that make you feel stupid or behind. Notice what works, even if it looks chaotic or unconventional. You need to find the things that work for you. So, some practical tools for myth number 5. Experiment framework. Try one system for 2 weeks. You're just trying it. Keep what works, drop the rest. There's no guilt here. There's no failure. You just found a data point. That works. This doesn't. So this week, I want you to notice one thing, just one. What time of day do you feel most capable? That's valuable data. Your system might look like chaos to someone else, but who cares? If it works for you, it's a good system. You get to design your system. You're the architect of your work life, of your business. Use your brain's patterns as your blueprint instead of trying to copy someone else's. And then build around that. Schedule your important work during that peak energy time. Protect your low energy times with simple tasks. Do the easy things then. Create a structure for those hard to complete tasks for yourself. Give yourself the tools that you need to be able to get things done. Myth number 6, you have to fix yourself before you grow your business. You tell yourself, once I fix my ADHD, my trauma, my mindset, then I can show up and do the thing. This keeps you stuck because you stay in the endless self-help mode. You collect courses, books, podcasts. I just have to learn more. I have to be able to do this better. You don't put your work out there. You delay living every part of your life. Your growth happens while you're messy and in motion. That's the part that people forget about. That's how you grow. You're allowed to make money, create, lead, even before you feel finished on the inside. If you're someone who spent years working on yourself, learning, healing, growing, this isn't about dismissing that work because that work matters. The question is, are you using that personal growth as a stepping stone to action or as a hiding place from that action? You don't wait to feel confident to start posting your content. You build your confidence by posting it. You don't wait to feel organized to take on clients. You get more organized because you have clients. You now feel that need, that purpose to be able to do those things. Healing and action can happen at the same time. You don't have to be perfect to be valuable, and you can work on yourself and show up for your business. Some practical tools for myth 6. One small business action this week. Choose one. Before we leave today, you're going to pick one action, something that moves your income or exposure forward. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be polished. It just has to exist outside of your own head. The first one is always the hardest. After you do that, you have proof you can do it scared. You can do it imperfect. You can do it without having everything figured out. Think about the person you want to help. They need your messy first attempt more than they need your perfect someday version. Show up for them. That's how you grow. Now that we've busted the myths, let's talk about what actually works. Your ADHD brain isn't motivated by shoulds. It's motivated by these 4 things. Interest. You care about the outcome or the process itself feels engaging. It's connected to your values. You know why it's important. Urgency. There's a time boundary that creates helpful pressure. Not panic, but helpful pressure. How often have you said, well, I work well under pressure? That's because you feel that urgency. That's why you do things like run right up to the deadline, because that sense of urgency pushes you. Challenge. If it feels like solving a problem, it feels like solving a problem, not dragging through the mud. You've gamified it. It makes it more interesting by being challenged. And novelty, something about it feels fresh or different. It's something new. You know, shiny object syndrome. Every new interesting thing grabs your full attention. So try and bring these things into what you currently have. The secret is learning how to add these elements to the tasks you already have instead of waiting for these elements to just magically appear. How do you use these 4 drivers? Interest. If you hate writing emails but love connecting with people, frame it as I'm reaching out to build relationships instead of I have to write marketing emails. You're adding that interest, you're tying it to the value that you inherently see in it. You're reminding your brain the why. Urgency. Book a co-working call with a friend. When someone's expecting you to show up and work, your brain gets that external deadline it craves. Another thing, make plans with someone. Make plans because you know just as well as I do that if you're like, oh no, man, it's going to take me all day to clean my house. But if a friend calls you and says, hey, I'm going to be over in 10 minutes for coffee, your house will be clean in 10 minutes. You will get it done because there is that urgency factor because someone else is counting on you. Add challenge. Set a timer, see how many emails you can answer in 10 minutes. Suddenly it's a game instead of a chore. That's that gamifying piece. And then novelty, record your content in a different room, use a new app, write by hand instead of typing. Change one thing to trick your brain into thinking, wow, this is different, because your brain sees it as different, even though you're still doing the thing that you need to do. And before we wrap up, I want to address that nasty, nagging little voice in your head that says, this isn't going to work for me, or I've tried all this before. When you catch yourself thinking, I'm lazy, you need to ask, what's the smallest starting point? It's not being easy on yourself, it's being strategic. When you think, I'll never follow through, challenge that. You have followed through on things. What was different then? Was there more structure? Did you have an accountability partner? Was there an external deadline? Use that data to help you follow through this time. When you compare yourself to others, remember you are not seeing their whole story. You're seeing their highlight reel, and the highlight reels are always fabulous. Even if they do have it easier, that doesn't make your path invalid. Shame shuts down motivation. Curiosity and self-respect help you try again. That's a choice you need to make. You need to choose that curiosity. Thank you very much for your time today. If you want more tools like this to help you build discipline without hating yourself, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. I post new videos that help you understand your mind so that you can stop feeling stuck and start doing the things you actually care about.